Hello everybody, welcome back to another light novel review. Today I'm going to be talking about volume number 6 in Fujino Omori's light novel series, Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Now, at the end of our last volume, Belle and company were rescued by their friends from the 18th level of the dungeon. And in the midst of that whole battle, Belle kind of revealed that he can be pretty darn powerful when he wants to be. Now, sometimes when you're powerful, it comes with the consequence of drawing the attention of gods and goddesses. We've already seen what kind of trouble Belle has gotten into being an object of Freya's affection in the last couple of volumes, but now in volume number 6, he's attracted the eye of the god Apollo, who is kind of like an obsessive stalker. He's kind of like a creepy dude. And because he is obsessed with Belle, he desperately wants to steal Belle away from Hestia, and so he basically forces Hestia into a corner and makes her accept the conditions of a war game, which will pit their two familias against each other, and the ultimate prize is Belle himself. Now, of course, this is going to present some incredible problems and challenges for Belle, seeing as how he's the only member of his familia, and Apollo has well over 100 members in his. This volume is filled with action. It's very fast-paced. I read this in basically a single day. It moves really, really well. It's a quick read. I've said that, I believe, about this series in general. Just the writing, I find, is kind of crisp. It moves along at a really good pace. The thing I really enjoy about this series, though, is that regardless of that quick pace and all the action, there's still quite a bit of character building going on in this series. And in particular, I would say that with this volume, we are actually just now seeing sort of the beginning of the true Hestia familia. And this is book 6. I have to commend Omori for taking his time to sort of introduce us to each character, giving us time to get to know those characters. This volume sort of really revolves around Belle having to draw on all these friendships and connections that he's made over the past 5 volumes. And it really seems legit because Omori's taken the time to build these relationships and to give a reason for people to care about Belle and a reason to want to help him and to come to the aid of he and Hestia. Because he's invested the time in building those relationships. And I also really like the fact that even though this could be called a harem type story, that it avoids a lot of the pratfalls of harems. A lot of the women that are involved in this harem are actually quite strong characters. And their caring about Belle isn't so obsessive that it blinds them to all other things. In fact, in a lot of cases, you feel that it's more like a sisterly or motherly type affection that they feel for Belle, and that in the end their only real desire is to see him be happy and to succeed. And the ongoing relationship between Belle and Ainz, who he has been obsessed with since volume number 1, their relationship is taking this very slow build, and it's sweet in a lot of ways. This whole scene that, of course, is featured on the front of the book, so it's not really a spoiler, of the two of them dancing is probably one of my favorite scenes between two characters in a lot of books, because it is just so sweet. And Omori, I think, really captures those emotions of having that close contact with someone that you really care about for perhaps the first time. I mean, let's remember, these characters have basically interacted in nothing but battles, so it was nice to see them interact with each other from something that was completely removed. That said, there was a lot dropped in this book that hints towards places that we're going to go in the future. Conversations were had between characters that felt very natural for where the book was in that particular moment, but certainly hint towards where things are going, such as that the city used to have two very powerful familias, Zeus and Hera, but we find out the fate of those two familias and why they disbanded and kind of broke up, and why the new status quo is what it is. And the story of Zeus and Hera, of course, well, I don't want to spoil too much, but if you've read up to this point, you realize that there's some very serious implications in that story. And when you sort of find out how it is they disbanded, I think it's serious dropping implications for what's going to happen down the road. In general, this series, I believe I said it in the last one, it has surprised me. It is a far better written series than I thought it would be, and the pacing and the character development and the foreshadowing of events down the line, it's a little bit stronger than I think a lot of light novels, and certainly stronger than I initially gave it credit for. And I think it's interesting that I've said numerous times, like, oh, this book feels like the end of an arc. Oh, this book feels like the end of an arc. So I think what we've seen so far is we've seen sort of two arcs of Belle, right? The arc getting him to level 2, and then sort of that arc at the end of last volume, number 5, which was sort of that where he truly becomes accepted as an adventurer. This book feels now like the end of an overarching story about the origins of the Hestia Familia. So we have like arcs within arcs, and even Omori in the end of this book says that as much as he loves sort of building these big teams, and he loves that moment in RBGs where like the team has all come together and assembled, he really wanted to take his time and introduce us to all of the main characters and to give them a bit of breathing room to show who they truly are before making teams and sort of assembling people in certain ways. And it really shows. I think he's done a really good job. I really enjoy this series overall, and this was a very, very strong volume, very strong edition. Yes, you will have to suspend the odd little thing of belief, but overall, I thought it was really well done, and I liked the fact that every character that was involved played an integral part to the whole process. So, really good series. Another really great volume. If you've enjoyed this series up to date, I can't even imagine why you wouldn't like this one. For those that I guess watched the anime or maybe watching this series of videos, wondering if the books are worth reading if you've seen the anime, this is the first volume that covers, I guess, beyond the anime, which I really find kind of surprising. I don't know if maybe this wasn't released at the time that they planned the anime, or they couldn't fit it. I don't know, but like this feels like a better place to have stopped the anime than, say, the book before. But anyway, if you enjoyed the anime even just a little bit, and you're wondering whether the books are worth reading, based at least on this first volume that goes beyond the anime, absolutely the answer is yes. So those are my thoughts on this volume of Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon. I will be back next week with another review, and that's going to be of volume number 4 of Black Bullet. The spin-off of Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, Sword Oratoria, or Oratorio, I'm not sure, is just coming out. I haven't been able to get it yet, so I'm going to do volume 4 of Black Bullet next, and then I will be doing the spin-off of this one the week after. So if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. You can check out all of my other videos. Remember, I don't just read books, I like to write them too. Thank you so much for watching the video. I look forward to seeing you in my next one. Until then, bye-bye for now.